We all know the story by now. Game saying that he's always been a believer of Kendrick Lamar. He wanted to sign Kendrick back in the day. Well, history reveals otherwise. Listen, when it comes to the internet and investigative journalism, the internet always wins. It always finds the truth. You guys have been mad sending me this one. Sending me links to a Kendrick Lamar unreleased song where apparently, even back then, back in the day, during this time period when Game wanted to sign him, when Game believed in him, where he doesn't feel the same way about Game. So we're going to dive into this right here, right now, because this is Kendrick Nostradamus prophesizing the future. We're going to see what's up. Smooth.
Lord have mercy, Jesus Christ. He's just nice, he just sliced like a
Ginsu. Hey.
The life that I've been through. We the last real niggas alive. That's official. Let me tell you.
That's Nas's hook of the same name. That's homage to Nas right there.
The life that I've been through. We the last real niggas alive. That's official. Let me tell you when it all started. Game dropped documentary and made plenty enemies. It was a classic album. But prior to that, Gorilla Black debuted it and put the city on wax. A lot of Biggie comparisons, we all was aware of them, but that wasn't my MO. I just thought it was dope. Didn't understand why Game would say his name in that manner. Many years went by, still no legitimate answer. Anyway, I put out a mixtape into a grade. Hub City Threat, minor.
That's a really, really interesting opening from Kendrick. Think about the setup here. Wow, I've never really heard Kendrick openly rap about Game in this sort of way, because this already starts and doesn't paint Game in a positive light. This is Kendrick presenting a situation that he doesn't agree with on Game already, right out of the gate. That's really interesting.
Wax. A lot of Biggie comparisons, we all was aware of them, but that was.
It's the Gorilla Black situation, because when Game dropped the documentary, right? One of the tracks on documentary, which was named Documentary, towards the end, Game talks about putting the West Coast on the map. And if you don't agree with that, guess I'm Gorilla Black, right? And that was kind of a shade and a shot at Gorilla Black. Gorilla Black ended up putting out a Game diss. He even called him Gorilla Whack. Game did of Gorilla Black. And Gorilla Black later on in interviews have come out and said like, yo, we were friends at one point. Well, at least I viewed us as friends. And the last time that we talked before things just went south and fell out, like it wasn't even a bad conversation. So I think Gorilla Black, even to this day, doesn't understand why him and Game fell out. And here's a Kendrick situation where Kendrick doesn't understand why Game would tear someone down from the West Coast who was rising at the time. And Kendrick looking past the Biggie allegations, because you got to think about context, right? You got to think about how proud the West Coast is. Obviously, Biggie Smalls, the classic East Coast, West Coast beef. So you have someone from the West who sounds kind of like Biggie. But Kendrick was looking past that because he's like, let's not hone in on that. Let's hone in on his skills and what he's doing for the West. I don't understand why with Game success, instead of lifting up the West, he would tear others down. Interesting start.
Didn't put the city on wax. A lot of Biggie comparisons, we all was aware of them, but that wasn't my MO. I just thought it was dope. Didn't understand why Game would say his name in that manner. Many years went by, still no legitimate answer.
Still no legitimate answer.
I put out a mixtape into a grade. Hub City Threat, minor of the year, DJ Dave and his brother Design put together the music, put it out to the people. The people said I was stupid with the flow. Went to the barbershop to show up my skills. Mike and Jaime and some other cat said I was real. Jaime was Game's barber. The other cat made a statement saying that Game was his partner, so I gave him my tape. Said he played for him, hoping that I get my big break, but never got a response. Anyway, this nigga named Pop Games came to my school with a camera. I freestyled on his DVD for a minute, then after.
Wow. Second setup. So the first setup leads into the Gorilla Black delivery, I would take that as, right? That's the first set. Then the second set is Kendrick then giving someone who's an affiliated Game at the barbershop, right? Which is just a local hub of culture within hip hop, right? An important, just cornerstone, the barbershop, right? So Kendrick passing on a mixtape, no response. And that's how he leaves it. So now you have two situations and two setups where he's not painting Game and his relationship with Game in a favorable light.
Hoping that I get my big break, but never got a.
And this is way back then.
Response. Anyway, this nigga.
I got no response. Anyway. Listen to how he delivers that.
Pop Games.
There's some energy there. And
I get my big break, but never got a response. Anyway, this nigga named Pop Games came to my school with a camera. I freestyled on his DVD for a minute. Then after it hit the streets, I was known as K-Dot from Compton. Me and Hootie probably was the youngest out that was popping, but I didn't have a home yet. Hootie had lost a knee until I met Top Dog. Told Dave that he liked to meet me at the studio, made me freestyle for an hour. Told me come back tomorrow, but I came back in an hour. J-Rock was in the booth recording his first mixtape. Was skeptical, homie, at first because he knew where I stayed, but we got over that. Heard the beat, wrote a rap. Did our first collaboration on a nephew track. He got signed months later. Warner Brothers, we started on this album. He wrote his rhymes on paper. Before Sidekicks became a modern day phone. The same time a buzz was generated from G Malone. He had a song called 200. White Lightning, the streets loved it. Said that Sony had gave him an unbelievable budget. Now that's a smart nigga. I'm trying to make my raps bigger than life, but not knowing how to market it right. Turned on the radio on the cat.
This feels like The Heart Part 6. This has those vibes. I love storytelling Kendrick, just talking about, you know, the days of grinding, the early days of TDE. When Top discovered him, spoke to Dave Free, his homie, wanted to link up. And then that story I've not heard before, Kendrick being taken in to studio, having a freestyle for an hour to show off his skills. Come back tomorrow. No, Kendrick is so hungry, he came back that day. And because he came back that day, that's where the first linking up with J-Rock happened. And then him talking about Jay, right? Because they are from different backgrounds. And you think about what Kendrick did at the Pop Out concert, and we've talked about this. And I think the early roots are here because he knew where I stay. He knew what set was affiliated around me. And yet, look at their long-standing history of coming together for the music, for the sake of the music. And I feel like those roots and, you know, those seeds that were planted then, you see those seeds grow and come to fruition as their relationship strengthened over the years and developed. You see what Kendrick did at the Pop Out concert and his message of unity for the West. But also there's an interesting theme here that I'm already starting to see develop. How does he set it up? He talks about Game tearing down a West Coast rapper. And then he talks about linking up with West Coast, linking up with Jay. Then, right? Then he gives a shout out to Glasses Malone. Man, I tell you what, the first Glasses Malone track I heard, who had the 07? The 07 Madden soundtrack. That's the first time I discovered Glasses Malone. I was like, man, this is that whole Madden soundtrack. Whoo, that went off back in the day. Playing his Michael Vick. Come on now.
On this album, he wrote his rhymes on paper. Before Sidekicks became a modern day phone. The same time a buzz was generated from G Malone. He had a song called 200. White Lightning, the streets loved it. Said that Sony had gave him an unbelievable budget. Now that's a smart nigga. I'm trying to make my raps bigger than life, but not knowing how to market it right. Turned on the radio, only cat knew from the West Coast, the plan was Bishop. And by then, this nigga buzz was tremendous. At the lab,
Bishop Lamont getting a shout out.
The cat knew from the West Coast, the plan was Bishop. And by then, this nigga buzz was tremendous. At the lab, me and Rock trying to perfect our craft. What the fuck? Next thing you know, we came across Lift Me Up. It was a hit when I heard it, but all we had was the instrumental and the hook. But when Rock jumped on it for certain, it was a smash. Gave it to Julio, but just to get his opinion. Next thing you know, the record was spinning. That was a good look. It set the coast on fire. Niggas in Garden Projects presents Watts Riot. Then these rappers start hating, calling up to the station, ask why they record ain't playing. What you niggas complaining about? Shit was funny to us though. Niggas hate to see a nigga from the bottom come up, yo. In the midst of the single popping and niggas trying to seek and destroy. I had a situation with Def Jam, premature. Shit was.
Man, I tell you what, it is a history lesson from Kendrick. The Lift Me Up track and J-Rock putting on for his area. And I can't remember the intro of the video, right? It sets up talking about Watts being the biggest project area. That side of the Mississippi, right? And there's Jay. And remember how I talked about like Bloods and the Crips and the coming together? Like think about that video because Kendrick was in that video, wasn't he? He had some cameos in it, but Jay's walking around rocking the reds of the Bloods, rocking the Pyru colors, right? Throughout that. And that Lift Me Up sample and that Lift Me Up cut. You don't even think at the time the significance, but Kendrick was there. Kendrick's there watching that rise.
It's funny to us though. Niggas hate to see it.
And he's talking about again, there's something transcendent here in terms of his principles. I feel like those principles of Kendrick have always maintained throughout the years, right? And over time is a great revealer of someone's true intentions, of their true philosophy. And this for me is a great revealer, just being able to dig back into this unreleased track of Kendrick's philosophy, even then. All for the West, man. All for the West. Wow, how that comes back full circle in the Drake beef.
Nigga from the bottom come up, yo. In the midst of the single popping and niggas trying to seek it. Niggas in Garden Projects presents Watts Riot. Then these rappers start hating.
Yeah, and obviously Garden Project. So that's where J-Rock was from, presents Watts riots, shouting out Watts. But then also you think about the Watts riots back then against police brutality, right? And Watts went crazy. And this was the precursor before the Rodney King riots in the 90s. We're talking about going back into the 60s, the Watts riots, right? And that just lit up LA and was huge at the time. So he's connecting that history and then obviously setting the stage for just like lighting up the West Coast in this case. That's a smooth double right there in historical bar.
To the station, ask why they record ain't playing. What you niggas complaining about? Shit was funny to us though. Niggas hate to see a nigga from the bottom come up, yo. In the midst of the single popping and niggas trying to seek and destroy. I had a situation with Def Jam, premature. Shit was sour after Jay-Z left, but I didn't care. I was glad Jay-Z gave me respect. See, I was young, fast forward, Hot Dollar had the streets on lock. As far as radio plays, obvious he got a lot. Beefing with Dash Dillinger, J-Rock spoke on it. Which in my opinion, I didn't think the shit was impotent, but that's a whole nother story. We hit the lab with Game and a few other names like Juicy.
Wait, I don't know that one. J-Rock spoke on the Daz Dillinger beef. Shout out to the Dog Pound. Daz Dillinger, corrupt, man. You want to talk about West Coast legends, icons. Death Row, man. Ooh.
Not beefing with Dash Dillinger, J-Rock spoke on it. Which in my opinion, I didn't think the shit was impotent, but...
And he was talking about Hot Dollar. Didn't Hot Dollar had that Tupac sample that blew up? So he's talking about, again, like this is just like hip-hop history. Remember when I did the Nas album breakdown, which is currently removed thanks to copyright, but I'm fighting it. I'm going to get it back. Don't worry. But we talked about... I loved how that was like an encyclopedia of New York hip hop. And Nas just had some great chapters of paying homage, of connecting, of like just like making a history book that we can listen to and digest and furthering the culture. And I feel like that's what Kendrick is doing here, like Nas did in that album breakdown. But he's doing it for the West Coast currently. And it's like a timeline of West Coast just greatness, of West Coast legends, of West Coast moments.
On Hot Dollar had the streets on lock. As far as radio plays, obvious he got a lot. Beefing with Dash Dillinger, J-Rock spoke on it. Which in my opinion, I didn't think the shit was impotent, but that...
Which in my opinion, I didn't think it was important. Didn't think the beef was important or speaking on it. But for me, again, like zoom out, Kendrick doesn't think that's, I don't think important in a greater stance because it matches the theme of this. What is the theme of this throughout the picture that he's painted? West Coast unity. West Coast moments, West Coast greatness, West Coast celebration. And then here's an example of two West Coast artists beefing, and he's going, I didn't think that was important, right? That for me fits into the puzzle there.
With Dash Dillinger, J-Rock spoke on it, which in my opinion, I didn't think the shit was impotent, but that's a whole nother story. We hit the lab with Game and a few other names like Juicy, Young, Your Boy. Did the cypher freestyle, and everybody's like, wow. These top dog niggas about to make noise. Shortly half the game took us on tour. I love them for that. But right after that, we didn't see them no more. G Malone came with a smash hit with Haycon. Mr. Fab.
Third mention a game. Third situation and set up a game. This time he gives Game some flowers. He gave Game flowers actually the first time around talking about the documentary and that success. But then he didn't understand why Game did this. And then he ended the second time talking about Game. Not really getting it. And then here's the third time where... Here's Game getting some positive talk, but then he ends it on, but then we didn't hear from him again. He took us on tour, and I love that, and I'm so appreciative. But there were no follow-ups. There was nothing else from it. It just makes you think.
We didn't see him no more. G Malone came with a smash hit with Haycon. Mr. Fab.
G Malone, that's Glasses Malone again getting another shout out and nod with Akon. What was that? Certified.
We didn't see him no more. G Malone came with a smash hit with Haycon. Mr. Fab battled Royce Nickel with Napalm. Then everybody started to scream out the New West.
Mr. Fab battled Royce Nickel with Napalm. Mr. Fab won that battle, right? That was a rap battle in NYC. Hot 97 putting on, right? And it's really funny because I did a breakdown. This goes back to the Royce and Lupe fiasco. Remember I did a breakdown of the Lupe fiasco, Royce the 5'9" disses, and then the Mickey Fax diss. And then we talk about ticking boxes. We talk about how all this like really ballooned and blew up. And one of the reasons and one of the starting points for that was the Mr. Fab battle. And Royce still feels like to this day that he won that Mr. Fab battle. The crowd didn't feel that way. The crowd felt like Mr. Fab walked away with it. And I will say, like, what was revealing about that battle for me is that Royce, again, but Royce did it in the Lupe battle too. This is making me connect so many dots. Sorry, I'm going on tangents here, but like, I feel like Royce is amazing lyrically. We all know Royce is a top tier MC. But Royce in that battle And Royce even did it in the Lupe battle. He didn't necessarily play to the crowd. And I feel like Royce's skill set doesn't set up for like a live, a cappella, spoken word, like a battle rapper who knows how to like set up the punchline to really bring it home and like deliver it and let those pauses come in and let the crowd get on their side. Like Royce was just more like dropping dope ass lyrics that would be found in like a hot song that Royce would cook up, right? And he was just song making. And even in the Lupe like diss, like it felt like he was just song making and just writing dope shit and not really like really hitting with some of those like battle rap punchlines and styles. And I feel like that's why the crowd favored Mr. Fab in that battle as well. Wow, take me back to that. But Mr. Fab, West Coast artist. And how dope was it a West Coast artist going to NYC and winning that?
These top dog niggas about to make noise. Shortly half the game took us on tour.
History lesson, man. This is dope.
Love him for that, but right after that, we didn't see him no more. G Malone came with a smash hit with Haycon. Mr. Fab battled Royce Nickel with Napalm. Then everybody started to scream out the New West and claim that West Coast legends don't want to see him at best. I think that's just an excuse because their music ain't tight. Tell them that Ab-Soul said it. They can quote him twice. The Crooked Eye came with Hip Hop Weekly, killing the internet, but he been a threat since Death Row. Then Rocket came about, and all I thought about was Ab-Soul. 211-2, it finally started to look like the West was making moves. Western had the whole black.
King Crooked, man. Can you believe that I've done a couple tracks now with King Crooked? That's incredible. That is incredible. But King Crooked, Hip Hop Weekly. That man would take, you know, like the mixtape days. When you take just like banging beats and you're like, watch what I can do on this. That's what King Crooked did. Every single week, Hip Hop Weekly dropping every week with bars and lyricism, just stacking week after week after. Man, I forgot about Hip Hop Weekly.
Booming because of Snoop. Matter of fact, bad luck was my.
And even Kendrick goes, no, and he was dope even before that on Death Row. And I remember Crooked telling the story, right? Crooked sharing that, you know, one of the things that Suge did when he wanted to sign someone new to Death Row, he would have them battle King Crooked. If you could go toe-to-toe and you could stand with King Crooked, that was your litmus test for making it on Death Row. That's crazy when you think about it.
West was making moves. Western Union had the whole black boom.
And I got songs with him. Come on.
Because of Snoop. Matter of fact, bad luck was my favorite about the group. Then problem.
Hang on.
211-2, it finally started to look like the West was making moves. Western Union had the whole black booming because of Snoop. Matter of fact, bad luck was my favorite about the group.
Hey.
Problem took off.
Western Union, but to avoid the lawsuit, they became Dub Union.
Booming because of Snoop. Matter of fact, bad luck was my favorite about the group. Then problem took off. Another Compton native. We both Compton niggas, but Compton still ain't made it. By this time, Jay rocking all my life in the airwaves. We almost got into some major beef over Lil Wayne. That part I'ma leave out. It's certain things that the streets only should know about. Shout out to Nipsey, Bishop with that game. Then had a fight with Hexo. That's when I dropped C4 and had the critics mad at me because they didn't see my views. Grab the hottest album out, then redo it. That's a goddamn power move, stupid, you foolish. Don't know shit about this war shit. It's more shit to wanting to be the king of the coast shit.
There's more shit than wanting to be the king of the coast shit. C4. Dropping that. We need to dive into C4. If you want to see that, comment below. But C4, he blowing up. But for me, I love the Problem shout out too. Because think about how things come around full circle back then. Him showing love to Problem. Who came out at the pop out and performed? That's a Problem right there. And then there was a line that made me go, hang on a second. What is this Lil Wayne bar? What is this? How does history repeat itself? Kendrick Nostradamus again. You talk about the Lil Wayne issues. I think my hard work let Lil Wayne down nowadays with the Super Bowl and all of that controversy. And we know about that. But there was a story back then. That's worth exploring. That's really interesting. They could have had beef with Lil Wayne back then.
C4 and had the critics mad at me because they didn't see my views. Grab the hottest album out, then redo it. That's a goddamn power move, stupid, you foolish. Don't know shit about this war shit. It's more shit to wanting to be the king of the coast shit.
Man.
Lord have mercy, Jesus Christ. He's just nice, he's just slice.
Back again soon.
Look at the life that I've been through. We the last real niggas alive, that's official. Lord have mercy, Jesus Christ. He's just nice, he's just slice. Back again soon. Look at the life that I've been through. We the last real niggas alive, that's official.
And again, you talk about principles, you talk about parallels and connections. Nas the only one to congratulate me on Whacked Out Murals. Kendrick always showing love. Not just celebrating the West Coast, but also showing love to Nas. And you could see the Nas influence in Kendrick's music. And we talked about it on GNX, right? Kendrick having his one mic moment with Man at the Garden, and just like the different Nas samples, the Nas shout outs, the love to Nas throughout the years. And here it is back then too. I always find that fascinating and interesting.
So 2 weeks ago, I finally run into the nigga I gave my mixtape to that said he was partners with Game. The nigga finally told me what he said. He said he didn't like it. But the nigga was like, see, look at you now. Try to tell him you was tight. Nigga probably never even gave it to him and shit. Shout out to everybody I forgot to. Yo.
Oh, there's an opening there. There's an opening
never
there.
Even gave it to him and shit. Shout out.
Right. This is one of those situations where that singular line can make it in either side story, right? It could go, well, Game didn't really believe in Kendrick. Look at what he said here. He was past his mixtape, and he said he didn't like it. And that was the word that got back to Kendrick. And then there's going to be those defending Game that will be like, hang on, listen to that line that follows it up with. He probably never gave it to him. And we don't know that. We don't know where the truth is because the Game says one thing, but the Game has also said statements and walked them back before. And if you look at Kendrick's camp, the only situation that you had directly that we have in terms of objective evidence is when Game goes, yeah, I wanted to sign Kendrick. I told Top I was going to sign Kendrick, right? Give me Kendrick. And then 2 T's has sat there laughing about it, right? You have people within Kendrick's camp going, hang on, this is Cap over here. But this is a really interesting outro because, again, this is the 4th time now. The 4th time that Game is mentioned. And each and every time, what I find interesting is that it's not positive. There's always a possible hinted negative. There's always something that just seems like, there's a bit of a bad taste in Kendrick's mouth. There's something a bit awkward. But at the same time, it's not all out war. It's not full in. But if you think about the greater theme of this, the greater theme is West Coast unity. The greater theme is a West Coast timeline. This song is a West Coast just history book. So Kendrick is not going to all out call out a West Coast rapper who's put on for the West Coast and done a lot. And I see that because that matches his philosophy. But also Kendrick being Kendrick and an artist using his music as an outlet, it seems like he's letting off some frustrations. He's venting, feeling a certain way about a certain rapper.
I had to tell him you was tight. Nigga probably never even gave it to him and shit. Shout out to everybody I forgot too. Young bruh bang loose by the loco. Omar Cruz, Tiger Tajay, Big Steel Eastwood, K-Boy, what's up with your crippin' ass, nigga? Will, you my favorite white boy, nigga. Young Roscoe, what's up, nigga?
AM, you know you my favorite white boy, right?
Where you and your brother at, nigga? I want
always love that shout.
They go toe to toe in the freestyle cypher, nigga. I got $10 on me. What's up, nigga? I'm broke. My nigga Soundwave, my in-house producer, best producer on the motherfucking West Coast. Besides Terrence Martin. Yo, my 2 favorites, nigga. Terrence, I'm waiting on you, nigga. Nah, I've been bullshitting though, to tell you the truth. I'ma keep it funky. Absol. I know you mad at me, nigga, but you know where your rank is at in this rap shit, nigga.
Hey.
You know, nigga, you see the vision, nigga. Schoolboy Q. Top Dog affiliates to the casket drop.
Showing love to the roster, man. Showing love to Soul.
What's up? Me and Rock just came from New York. Nipsey Hussle was out there. I swear to God, them niggas was in the studio. I just sat back and watched, man. Niggas looked like the new West Coast regime. Vibe was like a magazine. Damn, I'm rapping again.
Vibe like a magazine. Come on, that's a bar.
Rappers do that sometimes. But straight up, the niggas is crazy. Signing off. K-Dot.
K-Dot.
I'm out.
Even that Soul gets love. Schoolboy Q gets love. This is a really interesting setup. Because you think about and you make a list, and you can correct me if I'm wrong down in the comment section, but this is my knee-jerk reaction from this, right? Every artist mentioned that is West Coast. Every West Coast artist mentioned, he has something positive to say about them. Just some way of nodding, some way of paying homage to them. There's only one West Coast artist mentioned on this, and a song that's celebrating West Coast rise, West Coast hip-hop, West Coast just putting on. there is one singular West Coast artist that he kind of leaves as like a ... He doesn't put a period on. He doesn't applaud. He just muddies the waters and he leaves a little bit of doubt. And he just leaves that question mark. And that's Game. That's very obvious when you look at the meta theme of this and the way that this all sets up and the way that this leads. Wow. Isn't it funny how history comes back around full circle, though? And we talk about just this prophetic nature. I think Kendrick owns a time machine. I think he does. It's funny how things that he say back then, when we go play detective, how they come to pass and how they come to fruition in the modern day. And obviously, you have Game right now and his latest target and his latest way of kind of challenging. But he's not challenging because this is what Game does, right? He's not being direct, but we know who it's about. We know who he wants on the West Coast. He's jealous that Kendrick has the West Coast crown right now. And he wants that. Just respect. He wants that West Coast crown. And he's saying things in interviews. He's dropping these subtle little disses. He's moving kind of sly because he's trying to poke the bear. He's trying to see if he can get a response from Kendrick. But what's interesting is that, again, revisionist history, because you also have Game going, yeah, I would have signed Kendrick. I would have had him. Well, here is a historically documented song from Kendrick back then when Game was supposed to be wanting to sign him, always believing in Kendrick. And here's Kendrick pretty much going, there's doubt here. I never really felt like Game believed in me. Yeah, he took me on tour. Yeah, he gave me that opportunity, but there wasn't much after that. And isn't it interesting how during that time when Game was rising up, one of the things I'm going to point out in this song is when Game tore down another West Coast artist. And here's me putting on for the West Coast and celebrating West Coast artists. Wow. Kendrick Lamar. You're Knox Hill certified. Hope you guys like today's video. Listen over here at the end. Obviously, join the content. Do me a huge favor. Support the channel. Subscribe with notifications on. Look, I always say this. Most valuable thing you have is your time. And for whatever reason, you choose to spend some of your valuable time with me and my melanated deficient self talk about hip hop. And it is a blessing and a privilege and a beautiful thing. Thank you guys. Stay safe, stay positive. Take care of this, take care of this. You know, I'll catch you again.
But right now, like, nah, it's not a rapper on the West that's better than me.
You still the best rapper from Compton?
I'm definitely the best rapper from Compton.
Definitely?
Definitely.